A question which asks you to write about an interpretation is one of the hardest types of question that you can be asked in history. You really have to put together all of the skills you've learned to do essay questions and combine them with the difficult skill of interpretation analysis. It's not like you're just being asked about a topic like most essays. Instead, you have to first understand what somebody else is trying to say about a topic, and then apply your own knowledge of the topic to say why their interpretation might be right and why it might be wrong. But you also usually have to do this under timed conditions. Not easy, but it doesn't matter who you are or what stage you are at. If you work hard at anything, then you can master it, and this is no exception. I always say, what's the point in doing something you can already do? If you find it hard, try to conquer it. The first thing to note is that you cannot rush into this type of answer. You've got to spend time trying to understand the interpretations, and that won't always be easy. In fact, the examiner, teacher, evil genius, or whoever set the question will probably put something difficult in there, like a tough word or something, to try to throw you off, before they sit back, stroking their cat, and laughing manically. If you see such a word or sentence, then what you mustn't do is panic and think, oh my god, I can't do this. That's what they want. Don't give them the satisfaction. Also, don't try to guess, or you may end up going very wrong. Instead, if you find a word or a sentence or a phrase that you're not sure about, you should imagine that that sentence or word or phrase isn't there at all. Like, I can't see you, like an ostrich burying the head in the sand. If you like, you could even get a bit of paper or pencil and cover it up. The chances are you'll still be able to understand that sentence or the rest of the interpretation, and you'll have plenty to write about anyway. Don't be thrown off by things you're not sure about. So once you've weeded out the scary words, then you can get on with annotating the rest of the interpretation. The next thing to note is that your answer should usually follow the same structure, in that it should tackle the strengths of the interpretation or z in one paragraph, then the limitations in another paragraph, followed by a conclusion. If you're looking down at your answer now, and you've got a really long paragraph on strengths and a teeny tiny one on limitations, then it could be something to think about. Although, occasionally, you might get that imbalance, it's usually the case that you can have a fairly balanced argument about strengths and limitations. The main part of your paragraphs will be about picking out quotes from the interpretations, making judgments about them, and then backing up your judgments with knowledge. It's a bit like a winning maths formula. Quote plus judgment plus knowledge equals great marks. Those of you who want to be really, really impressive will cross-reference the interpretations given. What is a cross-reference, I hear you ask? Well, it's a fancy way of saying compare, by picking out quotes that show the same thing or opposite things, if you've got two interpretations, of course. Great words to use if this is a target of yours to cross-reference are contrastingly, likewise, similarly, contrary to, whereas, equally, and there are many others besides. You could use the internet to search for some. This cross-referencing business is tough, though, so make sure you've mastered all the other things first. Finally, you'll get to the end of your essay and need to do a conclusion. This conclusion should, as with all conclusions, not introduce any new information, and it should have been clear from the start in your introduction, and it should also sound 100% sure. See Conclusion Podcast for more information. Coming up next, you'll see the standard example interpretation question from me, this time so that it fits on the screen, and so you can see it. I haven't done a whole answer because it would be very big, but I have tried to show you a bit of a paragraph that includes the winning formula of quote plus judgment plus knowledge equals great marks, as well as a bit of cross-referencing, so that you can see what I mean. I'll follow this up with an example intro and an example conclusion. You should pause and read and steal ideas from my examples to use in your own work.